Thoughts about the Arnold Clark Cup in your home country?
Yeah, I think with the Euros round the corner, I think it's going to be a great kick-off to 2022. I think obviously I came back and played England right after leaving them in April at Stoke. So that sort of got rid of that whole worked with England, now with Canada. I guess you could call it rivalry, but I think it'll be a fantastic tournament with the Euros around the corner. And you look at the World Cup now, there's going to be 11 teams from Europe. You'd like to think that probably if you look at the last World Cup, 7 out of 8 in the knockout rounds were European. So for Canada, it's actually like a perfect preparation in where we're heading.
That's perfect. Yeah, and you did mention that you're coaching another team, Bev. So how does that feel?
It feels great. I feel like I'm at home. When you go and achieve something special with a group of people, I'm fully invested in the group I'm working with. They're a great bunch, so yeah.
And we kick off the Arnold Clark Cup in Middlesbrough, and a birdie told me you were born nearby.
Yes.
Is this true? Yes.
I'm hoping we might attract a few fans for Canada when we're at that venue.
Your family, your grandparents, your
family,
parents.
Yeah.
Have you been to Riverside Stadium in Middlesbrough?
Yes, I believe with England, we played Brazil. I want to say it was Brazil in Middlesbrough after the World Cup. So yes, I have been. I've played once there. So Middlesbrough, a bit like Newcastle, a bit like Sunderland, the Northeast is full of football fans. So I think it'll be a great atmosphere to kick off the tournament.
Yeah, and what is that about? There's a lot of local England players: Beth Mead, Jordan Nobbs, Steph Horton, Jill Scott, Demi Stokes. Why is the Northeast such a breeding ground for women's football? You having come from there.
I think it'll continue to be a bit of a breeding ground because you've got all them role models. I actually played with Jill Scott, Steph Horton, Carly Telford for my county team in Durham. So yeah, it's there's a lot of talent to come through, and I think you've seen the likes of Sunderland and big teams miss out in the WSL. I'm sure those big clubs and teams are ready to get back to the top.
That's so cool that you played with them. Yeah, because you're
much better than me. I'm just going to put that out there. They were much better than me. I'm not saying I'm as good as those players.
But it's great. It's so cool that you did that. How did you get into football, actually?
Do you know what it was? It was just literally kicking a ball in my street with the boys. I was the only girl back then. I'm from a really small hometown, and just kicked a ball informally in the street. Then it was sort of my primary school, only girl on the team, and just sort of had a love and a passion for it, and always had a ball at my feet.
That's so cool. And then you started coaching. So when did you go from player to coach, and what was that? Why did you do
It was
that?
a bit of a blend, but I would say it was more seriously when I went to university at John Moores University in Liverpool and worked with Everton Ladies then with Mo Marley. I would say that's when I went through all my badges and realised, to be honest, I wasn't going to play for my country, but loved the sport, loved teaching. So sort of married the two and got into coaching. And from that point, I haven't looked back really.
So cool. And then you went from Everton under Mo Marley, absolute legend in the game over here in England, over to Canada, right? Directly?
New Zealand first.
You did do New Zealand first.
Yes, New Zealand first. And in New Zealand, I wasn't on the grass all the time. It was more like a football development role. I sort of head of football development when John left. Then I went to Canada and worked with all the youth teams, assistant with the senior team. Then I went to England.
Yep.
Worked with the Lionesses, and then now I'm back in Canada.
You did mention the Olympics, Tokyo Olympics. You won gold.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? What was that like? How many times have you been asked this stupid question? But I want to know, because it's not very many people have.
Do you know what it is? It still hasn't to this day sunk in, because I think no fans, so that has a massive impact. So you go and win and you're all going crazy on the pitch, as you would have seen. I was a little bit crazy and ran on with them. But like you don't have family, you don't have fans there. So it's a little bit surreal and hasn't sunk in. But it was incredible. I think this team, I think I knew they always had it in them for what they bring and what they're about. The key for us now is making sure it wasn't a one-off and and pushing on and probably moving on from the medal. You know, I think the dangerous thing is to climb a mountain and just stay up there forever. I think we'll get taken over if we do that. And so our job now is to go and do it on the biggest stage in the World Cup.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you ran onto the pitch. I did see that. It was a lot of fun. It looks like you have a really nice relationship with the players. And obviously you are a little bit younger than a lot of traditional football coaches. So, is that a challenge, or how do you make sure that, you have the coach at this level and your players over there, but still keep that relationship? I think that's so cool.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I'm younger than Christine Sinclair, as an example, Erin McLeod and a few others. I think I've always been big on keeping that sort of, I get on really well. I can relate to a lot of the players I had at youth. And so they've sort of came through the system. I think I've got that balance right of being relatable and being able to interact outside of football. But I always keep that line really firm. And I think that's, when you're a young coach, that's really, really important. But I'm also just me and being myself, because I think that's what I need to be to get the best out of me, to get the best out of the players.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then looking at the Olympics and the teams that you played against there, because there were some really great teams there. And I mean, Sweden was looking very, very strong in the beginning, but you had, some other teams that were looking really good. And then looking ahead to Arnold Clark Cup, which teams are you looking most forward to playing against?
At the Arnold Clark Cup, I think all three are going to provide unbelievable tests. Every time I played England and Team GB, obviously in the Olympics, and they've got Serena in, they've got a new coach who has done incredible things in the women's game, so they'll be in a great spot. And hosts of the Euros, you can only imagine the hype of that. So that'll always, Canada, England is always a massive game. You look at I think it was the quarterfinals here in Canada, England beat Canada, but there are always games that are really tetchy, I would say. Germany, incredible team, great threats, crossing. They've got some incredible athletes and players. And then Spain, I think Spain are the team that have done incredible things. They're in the top 10 now. They've got players who've won a Champions League, Ballon d'Or winner. The list goes on. I think Spain are a threat that have almost been simmering away, and that game's going to be really tough too. So 3 really tough games. And obviously we've got a lot of players who are out of season. So we're going to have to grow in the tournament and take it as it comes. But I wouldn't turn down that opportunity to test ourselves against 3 unbelievable teams.
And just looking at your team now and just previewing them, can you give us a sort of, behind the scenes, what's going on? Who are sort of the up and coming ones? We obviously know Christine Sinclair just broke a ton of records and is, still going strong. So you had also your goalkeeper that was potentially retiring but might be playing in the tournament. Will she be there? Give us some fun things that are going on with your players.
So first of all, Steph Labbe, the team isn't announced, but Steph won't be at the Arnold Cup, retired. She will return with us at a home game in Canada, but other than that, so really in the goalkeeping sense, it's wide open. We've got 4 goalkeepers coming in, a couple of young keepers as well. So that'll be wide open. And then in terms of the team, I'm bringing in some new faces. Our under-20s are in qualification during the tournament. I would like to tap into that youth group to start to evolve the team, but I've left them in qualifiers. So it'll be some familiar faces. You look at players who stepped up in that Olympics. You've got Jessie Fleming, 4 penalties in a row. Plays in England. I think she's hit another level. Probably could be a future captain once Christine does hang up her boots. Kadisha Buchanan, Ashley Lawrence, you look at that group coming through, and it's an incredible talent. And then you've still got Christine Sinclair, Sophie Schmidt, the list goes on, Desiree Scott. It's a real it's going to start to shift now towards evolving the team. But I do think a whole host of them veterans have made the commitment to 2023 World Cup. So for us now, it's about making sure that no shirts are given and making sure that we turn up to the World Cup and qualification with the best players possible. And I think a tournament like this, you're in the fire. You get to learn a lot about players when you put yourself in the biggest arena. And I would say that this tournament this year is going to be massive for us.
Oh, that's great. We're really, really looking forward to having you guys here for sure.